Hello and welcome back to my channel. The 17th of March is nearly here. Time to talk about St. Patrick's Day. I'm already in the mood, and how about you? Well, but what is St. Patrick's Day? First of all, you can also refer to it as St. Paddy's Day, but never as St. Patty's Day, since Paddy is short for Patrick, while Patty is a woman's name, so never do it. Anyway, St. Patrick's Day is the Irish national holiday that is celebrated on March 17th each year. On this day, the whole world seems to turn green and to celebrate Irish culture. And even those without Irish heritage have an excuse to celebrate and to drink whiskey and Guinness. But to get an understanding of why we celebrate on this day and not on any other day, we have to look at the man himself. Let's look at Patrick, patron saint of Ireland. The man we know today as St. Patrick wasn't even born in Ireland. He was most likely born as Maewyn Succat in Roman Britain in the 5th century. Born into a family of Christian priests, even though he never really found the faith himself. Nobody back then would have thought that he would become a figure of the church. But when he was only 16 years old, slave traders came to the coast of his hometown and captured him. They brought him to Ireland, to today's County Antrim, where he served for 6 years as a shepherd. Within those 6 years, he didn't only learn the ways of the pagans, but also found his faith in God. He was said to say at least 100 prayers a day. And after 6 years, the prayers had been heard. He was sent a vision of an angel telling him that a ship is waiting for him to bring him home again. And so young Patrick fled, and he really found the ship, and he really got home again. At this point, the story could have ended, but Patrick wasn't done with Ireland yet. He was determined to become a priest, and so he lived in a monastery for 12 years and learned everything he could. But at some point, he got another vision. A vision in which he was handed a note with the simple sentence, "The voice of the Irish." And as he read this note, he literally heard the voices of the Irish beseeching him to come back to Ireland. Deeply moved by this vision and made bishop by the Pope, he returned to Ireland to bring his faith and everything that was an anchor for him in his time in Ireland to the Irish people. Still recalling what he has learned in his time in Ireland, Patrick tried to explain his faith to the Irish with symbols and legends they were already familiar with. He even translated the Gospels into the Irish language, and he earned a lot of respect for that. Several examples of how he combined the old and the new ways can still be found in today's Ireland. For example, he was said to have included bonfires into the Easter celebrations, because around the time of Easter, the pagans already worshipped their gods with fires. He is also said to have combined the pagan sun symbol with the Christian symbol of the cross, and thus creating the Celtic cross we today know as a symbol for Irish faith. And he is also said to have driven the snakes away from Ireland, though it's very unlikely that there ever were snakes in Ireland. But maybe the snakes were a metaphor for paganism and the pagan druids, which he drove out of Ireland. But probably the most famous example is his use of the Irish shamrock, explaining the Holy Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. The people listened to his lessons in their native tongue and more converted from paganism to Christianity. He is said to have worked as a missionary for around 4 decades, before he finally died. He died on March 17th, 461. Now you might think, from his death day on, people celebrated St. Patrick's Day as we do it today, right? Well, that wasn't the case at all. Actually, the first St. Patrick's Day parade, or what you can call that, was held in the US, not in Ireland. The first St. Patrick's Day parade was held in 1762 by Irish soldiers. In New York, they marched to a local tavern to have a drink. And back then, St. Patrick wasn't even associated with the color green, rather with the color blue, St. Patrick's blue. So why do we celebrate St. Patrick's Day with green colors? Well, it all changed during the Irish Rebellion of 1798. Led by Wolfe Tone, the rebels fought to free Ireland from British rule under a green flag with a golden harp. And remember the shamrock? Well, back then, to show your support, you wore a shamrock or a green piece of clothing, which wasn't as harmless as it might sound, because you could have been hanged for that. But after a while, the green color became the color of St. Patrick and of Irish Christian pride. By the way, the Irish shamrock looks like this or this. The clover with the 4 leaves might be a symbol of luck, but it actually doesn't have anything to do with Ireland. The shamrock the Irish use is the shamrock with 3 leaves, as St. Patrick used it to explain the Holy Trinity. Okay, but how do we get from drunken soldiers and a rebellion to the worldwide phenomenon St. Patrick's Day is today? Well, actually again, the first official parade wasn't held in Ireland, but in America in the 1840s, by the Irish who had fled the potato famine, and who wanted to show their pride of their heritage. And thus the phenomenon slowly started to conquer the whole world. The first St. Patrick's Day parade in Ireland wasn't held until 1903. Today it's celebrated all over the world, and buildings, rivers, fountains, and even people turn green for one day and celebrate the Irish culture. Well, at least normally. Last year, most of the St. Patrick's Day parades were cancelled because of the pandemic, and this year it doesn't look so good either. But this year there will be a lot of online events, and I can't wait to see what they come up with. So dig out some green clothes, grab yourself a Guinness, a whiskey, or whatever you want, and let us celebrate Irish culture, Irish heritage, and Irish history. Happy St. Patrick's Day, or in Irish, Láda Patrick, son of Rich. Something like that. So, happy St. Patrick's Day, and sláinte. Do you also want to know what St. Patrick had to do with Oisin, the son of Fionn McCool and the Fianna? Well, then check out this video. See you soon. Bye!